The curse of the pharaohs, or the curse on ancient Egyptian tombs, is one of the most intriguing and persistent legends associated with ancient Egypt. It refers to the belief that anyone who disturbs the tomb of a pharaoh or high-ranking individual will suffer grave misfortune, illness, or even death. The roots of this story stretch deep into ancient Egypt's culture of death and the afterlife, but it has been amplified in modern times by a series of unexplained deaths, sensationalized media coverage, and an enduring fascination with the mysteries of the ancient world. In ancient Egypt, death was not the end, but a transition to the afterlife, where the soul would continue to live if certain rituals were followed. The tombs of the dead, particularly those of the elite, were lavishly furnished with treasures, food, and items meant to be used in the afterlife. These tombs were often inscribed with prayers and invocations meant to protect the deceased and ensure their peaceful passage to the other world. Among these inscriptions were protective spells, designed to ward off tomb robbers and those who might desecrate the resting place. Some tombs, particularly of lesser-known officials, did contain warnings of divine retribution for anyone who dared to enter. These inscriptions have been interpreted as the origins of the curse. However, these were likely more of a deterrent for potential thieves than a literal curse, as grave robbing was a significant issue even in ancient times. The idea of an actual curse became more widely known in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, when European archaeologists began to unearth ancient Egyptian tombs. At the time, Egyptology was booming, and public fascination with Egypt's ancient wonders was growing, thanks in part to the treasures being sent back to Europe's museums. Along with the gold and artifacts came stories of mysterious happenings, illnesses, and deaths associated with those who had entered the tombs. These incidents were sensationalized by the media, which helped solidify the idea of a curse. However, the legend reached its peak with the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb by British archaeologist Howard Carter in 1922. This was one of the most significant archaeological finds in history, as the tomb was largely untouched and contained a wealth of treasures and artifacts that provided unprecedented insight into ancient Egyptian civilization. But what really captured the world's imagination was the so-called curse that followed. Shortly after the tomb was opened, Lord Carnarvon, the financier of the excavation, died under mysterious circumstances. He had been bitten by a mosquito, which became infected, leading to blood poisoning and his death. The media quickly jumped on this event, labeling it the result of a curse placed on the tomb. Headlines such as "The Pharaoh's Curse" became common, and speculation ran wild. Some even reported that when Carnarvon died, the lights in Cairo flickered and went out, further feeding the idea of supernatural forces at play. More deaths followed. A few other people connected to the excavation, including George J. Gould, an American railroad magnate who visited the tomb, also passed away under seemingly strange circumstances. Another archaeologist, Arthur Mace, died of arsenic poisoning. These events contributed to the growing legend of the Pharaoh's curse. However, these deaths were not as mysterious as they seemed. Most of the individuals who died were already elderly or in poor health, and their deaths could be explained by natural causes. Howard Carter, the man who spent the most time in the tomb, lived for another 17 years after the tomb's discovery, dying in 1939 of natural causes. In the decades following the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, scientists have offered more rational explanations for the so-called curse. Some scholars suggest that the tombs, sealed for thousands of years, may have harbored harmful molds or bacteria that could have made the tomb's first visitors ill. The most frequently mentioned possibility is Aspergillus, a type of mold that can cause respiratory problems, especially in individuals with weakened immune systems. Others have proposed the presence of toxic chemicals, such as marsh ammonia or formaldehyde, which could have accumulated in the tomb over millennia. These gases, released when the tomb was opened, might have contributed to the ailments that befell the tomb's discoverers. However, these theories remain speculative, and no definitive cause has been proven. Despite the scientific attempts to debunk the myth, the curse of the pharaohs continues to endure in popular culture. It has been the subject of countless books, films, and documentaries, often depicted as a real and terrifying supernatural force. Movies like Saw, the Mummy franchise, and other works of fiction have fueled the imagination, blending historical fact with fantasy to create a powerful narrative. The combination of ancient mysticism, unexplained deaths, and the exotic allure of Egypt has made the curse an enduring part of the collective imagination. Whether you believe in it or not, the story of the Pharaoh's curse taps into deeper fears about mortality, the unknown, and the price of disturbing the past. While the curse of the Pharaohs likely has its roots in protective spells and warnings inscribed in tombs, it has grown into a legend much larger than anything intended by the ancient Egyptians. The real story may be more about how human psychology and the fear of death can turn coincidence into myth. In the case of King Tutankhamun's tomb, the power of storytelling and media sensationalism helped transform a historical discovery into a lasting legend of mystery and doom.